Hello and welcome to It's All About You, the best show about you on the internet. I am B. Dave Walters, life, relationships, and spiritual coach. This is episode number 43, Anxiety. And I'm sure that a lot of you out there have experienced this. Everybody experiences it from time to time, but for some of us it gets a little out of hand. And I'm going to do something that I've never done before. I think I've mentioned in the past that I wanted to do some higher level spiritual stuff, but every time I try and start, it doesn't quite get going the way I'd like. So I'm going to do something a little bit different. I want to share some different ideas with you. Bear with me here. I think you're going to learn some things that you'll really enjoy and are kind of profound. But I'm going to share with you some different scriptures and verses from different religious traditions from all over the world. I don't have just a ton of them, so it won't be the entire episode. And I want to comment on some of these. But these are specifically scriptures from all over the world that relate to anxiety. So I want you to think, as you're listening to this, first of all, realize how similar a lot of the world's traditions are. Because I'm not going to tell you where these things come from until the end of the verse. Although sometimes it's obvious and sometimes it's not so obvious. And the second thing is how it applies to your own situation and your own problems and your own thing. Because, you've probably heard me say in the past, you can worry or you can have faith, but you cannot do both. You can worry or you can have faith, but you cannot do both. Because when you worry, what you're doing is telling God, however you conceive of God or the universe, that they can't handle it. So you've got to come up with something. That's what worry is. So I want to share some of these ideas with you in the hopes that, it'll kind of strengthen you in some of the things that you go through. And when I get done with some of these, we'll discuss them, although I'm probably going to comment on some of these as we go along. Now, where I'm getting these from, I studied religion in university, and really every day since. This is World Scripture, a comparative anthology of sacred texts. This is awesome. I don't even know if this book is still in print anymore, but this is really great because it's broken down kind of by like subject and everything, so I can go here to anxiety, and I got this neat stuff from all over the world. Okay? So here we go. Any who believes in his Lord has no fear, either of loss or of any injustice. That's from Islam, the Quran 72:13. All are afraid of death. Nowhere is there fearlessness. But the virtuous saints never fear death and the state after death. By Hinduism, from the Matsya Purana 2:12-25, and I can tell you in advance, I'm totally going to slaughter the names of some of these holy books. So if I say your holy book wrong or butcher your language, I apologize. Trying my best. I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas, so I'm ahead of the game to even be on the internet. My Lord, boundless as the sun and moon, lighting heaven and earth. How then can I have concerns about what is to be? It's from Shinto. From the Man Yoshu, number 20. I like that one. I'm going to read it again. My Lord, boundless as the sun and moon, lighting heaven and earth. How then can I have concerns about what is to be? From Shinto. Man Yoshu, number 20. One who has mastered Dhamma, one much learned, has no such thought as, 'tis well with me. Look, how tortured is he that has possessions. One to another, human folk are bound. It's from Buddhism, by the Udana 13. Day in and day out, I am with Amida. Let the sun set whenever it pleases. How grateful indeed I am. Namu Amida Butsu. This is from Buddhism. That's from Zen Buddhism, actually, from the Mukyo Konen. Okay, you're gonna catch a lot of these with the Buddhism. The Buddhism verses are kind of like, I don't really care. I'm not attached to anything. Because, non-attachment is a big part of Buddhism, as we've talked about in the past. Not making things mean things, not clinging to things. Because attachment is the root of all suffering. If there's something that you're feeling anxiety about, look at it and see, first of all, what is it that you're afraid of? Because anxiety is just another form of fear. And like all forms of fear, it can only live in the future. You can't be anxious about something that's actually happening. You can only be anxious about something that you're afraid is going to happen. So what is it that you're attached to? What is it that you can't let go? What is it that you're clinging to as you look into the future? You're making you choose to look into the future with fear instead of, say, excitement. Because all the future really offers to you is the same thing the future offers to me. Uncertainty. I mean, I talk about the future like it's absolutely fixed because of the law of attraction and the discipline in my mind and my faith in God that I know these things are going to happen. But the fact is, I don't know. I just really believe. And because of that, I look at the same blackness of unknown ahead that you do, but I extract positive things from it, and it really is just a choice that you can make consciously at any time. Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. It is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives his beloved sleep. That's from Judaism and Christianity, Psalm 127, 1 and 2. Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. It is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives his beloved sleep. Judaism, Christianity, Psalms 127, 1 and 2. Do not strain your eyes in longing for the things we have given for enjoyment to parties of them, the splendor of the life of this world, through which we test them. But the provision of your Lord is better and more enduring. We do not ask you to provide sustenance. We provide it for you. The fruit of the hereafter is for righteousness. That's from Islam, from the Quran, 20, 131 and 32. I keep checking my clock here. Those who surrender to God all selfish attachments are like the leaf of a lotus floating clean and dry in the water. Sin cannot touch them. Renouncing their selfish attachments, those who follow the path of service work with the body, senses, and mind for the sake of self-purification. Those whose consciousness is unified abandon all attachment to the result of action in the attaining of supreme peace. Bet you think it's Buddhism, don't you? It's not. It's from Hinduism. That's from the Bhagavad Gita, 5, 10 through 12. Now you may not know this, but Buddhism is an offshoot of Hinduism. They're very different, but Buddha was a Hindu. He's raised a Hindu, and he kind of extracted some concepts from it, and Buddhism is kind of distilled Hinduism, if that makes sense, because Hinduism is kind of elaborate. Of course, I'm talking about that in generalities. Obviously, there's lots of different types of Hinduism. There's lots of different types of Buddhism. Zen Buddhism is very simple. Tibetan Buddhism is very elaborate. Same thing. There's certain types of Hinduism that are very simplistic, other that are really elaborate. But are you picking up on something here? Are you picking up on a pattern where it's kind of like, I'm just not going to worry in a lot of these verses? It's like it's in God's hands, don't worry about it. Because there's not really... Well, I was going to say that there's not much you can do, but that's not true. Actually, you hold all the cards. I think I explained this to somebody recently in a way that made a lot of sense. When you look at the law of attraction, or, you know, the power of your mind, or faith, or prayer, or meditation, however you want to see it, those things are like software. That's the software. Your action is the hardware. If there's something that you're worried about, if there's something that you're anxious about, if there's something that you're fearful about, remember, fear is a call to preparation. Do something. Do all that you can, and then release it. Let it go. Let it go to the universe. Let it go to God. It's like there's another quote by Ernest Hemingway. My life has been full of tragedies, most of which never happened. When you look to the future with fear and anxiety and you're worried about what's going to happen, you're feeling all the fear and pain right now, today, of something that has not happened. And to tell you the truth, it's probably not going to happen. Right? And here's the thing, even if it does happen, even if you're 100% sure, even if every single thing that you fear is going to take place, what good did being afraid about it do anyway? All being afraid did was make you waste the time up until the point that it happened. Because the fact is, what's going to happen is going to happen. And you're going to deal with it when it comes along. Or I guess, theoretically, you could not deal with it and just kind of be crushed by it. But even being crushed by something is dealing in a way, I suppose. Right? Almost out of time because I'm about to split this. But I'm going to share one of my favorite verses of all time. How many animals do not carry their own provision? God provides for them and for you. He is alert, aware. That's Islam's from the Quran, 29:60. How many animals do not carry their own provision? God provides for them and for you. He is alert, aware. Islam, the Quran, 29:60. Splitting this for my brothers and sisters on YouTube. Watch part 2. Everybody else, stick with me.